Hi, thanks for joining me today. Our practice today is going to be a slow flow, stretching through the hips and unifying breath with really intentional movement. This practice would complement a stronger workout when you're ready for a stretch or settle us down for bed to get a really great night's sleep. I hope you enjoy. Alright guys, let's start today's class in Balasana, Child's Pose. Opening the knees out as wide as the mat and allowing the belly to come between the thighs, folding the chest down, extending the arms out overhead, and the forehead searches for the mat. Connecting with the breath straight away, extending the inhale and exhaling. Bringing the inhale in through the nose and back out through the nose. We're going to use a style of breathing called Samariti breathing, which means even flow or even wave. So inhaling for the same count as which you exhale, and that count can be as long or as short as what serves you today. I like to use a count of 4. I'm just starting to connect the breath, settle the body into the practice and onto our mats. You might like to find some gentle movement here in your Balasana, rocking a little bit from side to side perhaps, massaging through the forehead. We're going to press into the hands with our next inhale breath, coming into a tabletop position. Hands come below the shoulders and the knees are below the hips. Navel draws in towards the spine. We're going to go through a few rounds of cat-cow here now, so unifying the breath with movement. Inhaling, belly lowers to the mat, gaze lifts up, and the tailbone searches for the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're curving the spine, and the gaze looks through to the belly button. Inhale, lowers the belly, chest comes through the shoulders. And exhaling, pressing through the hands, really doming through the back here. Let's go for one more round. Maybe finding a little bit of organic movement here. Noticing any stiff or sore places with the muscles. And eventually we'll come to stillness. I'm going to start to work through the hips just a little bit now. So lifting the right knee, extending the foot out behind and squaring off the hips. Feeling the tummy engage here. We're going to bend our right knee to a 90 degrees and then circle the knee up and over, coming up almost as if it's going to meet the right elbow and lowering it back down. Using our inhale breath to lift and exhale to lower. One more time, just like that. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's take it back the other direction. Opening up through the hip socket. Turning on some of those stabilizing muscles in the other leg as well as through the arms and through the belly. Everything staying nice and still. We'll do that on the other side now. So bringing the weight into the right knee, lifting through the left leg, and then bending the knee at 90 degrees and starting to slowly circle out, massaging through our hip joint. So the rest of the body staying fairly neutral, and that movement is really just coming from the femur, circulating through the hip socket. Changing directions if you haven't already. And lowering the left knee back down to the mat. We're going to bring our left hand into the center of the mat below the face, rotating around into a modified side plank. So the right foot is extending out. Right hand can be on the right hip or extending out towards the ceiling. We're going to lift the right leg here, starting to activate through the right side body. Drawing the tummy in, pressing through the earth with the left hand. We're going to reach back with our right hand to take a hold of the top of the right foot. Maybe taking a hold of the shin, whatever's available to you. And then kicking out through the right foot and taking a little bit of a back bend here. So opening through the chest and through the hip flexor. Nice big breath in here. And long inhale, exhale back out. Our next inhale breath is going to extend the right leg without slingshotting the foot. And then the gaze will look down towards the left hand. Bend the right knee in towards the chest. And see if you can gently place the right foot next to the left hand. Coming into our low lunge. So we'll check in with the foundation first, making sure our right ankle is directly below the right knee. Really pressing into the earth with the left knee and the right foot. Preparing with our inhale to rise up into our Anjanayasana Low Lunge. Exhale settles into the hips a little bit more. And the inhale extends the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lowering the hands back down to frame the front foot. We're going to continue to sweep the hands back, preparing to come into our half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. You might like to take the blocks here on either side, and you can use blocks or books or anything just to bring the earth a little bit closer. I like to have the blocks so that I can really maintain that long straight spine. And the tendency here is to want to hunch forward, but really lifting up through the crown of the head, opening through the collarbones. Right toes are drawing back towards the face. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Finding length with an inhale. And then maybe finding a little bit more space with our exhale to fold forward, still maintaining that long spine. Connecting back with the breath here in this stillness. We'll inhale, rolling back over the right foot, bend through the right knee, moving our blocks off to the side. Right sole of the foot presses into the earth. Left hand is going to come down to the mat, and the right hand is going to peel open towards the ceiling, finding an easy twist. Inhale, finding length. And then exhale, circling the right hand back down to the mat. We're going to bring the right hand inside the right foot and heel toe the foot out towards the edge of the mat. Left hand comes forward slightly to the front of the mat, and the right hand is going to rest on the right knee. We're not applying too much pressure here, just allowing it to assist the chest to open up towards the right hand side. Inhale, big breath and long spine. And then exhale, finding that twist. You can come up onto the outer blade edge of the right foot, ensuring that the right foot stays really active here to protect the right knee. And then if you've got a little bit more space or you want to find a bit of a deeper stretch today, we're going to inhale the right hand up overhead, lifting through the left foot and taking a hold of the foot with the right hand, drawing the foot in towards the glutes. Staying here for 2 breaths. Gaze might look over the right shoulder if it's okay for the neck. And then inhaling the hand back back over if you had the bind. Both palms press into the earth, and the right foot is going to come back to meet the left, back in our tabletop position, ready to come through for the other side. So right hand comes to the center of the mat, opening up towards the left hand side into our modified Vashisthasana. Left hand might reach up towards the ceiling, lifting through the left leg, and then bending through the left knee to take a hold of the left foot, and kicking back with the left foot so as to open the chest and find that beautiful back bend. Takes a little bit of balance here, so nice and strong through the belly, through that arm, pressing into the earth. One more breath here. And then we'll extend the left foot out. Gaze looks down towards the right hand, bending the left knee into the chest, and then placing the left foot down, making any adjustments that you need to get the foot back up to where it needs to be for our low lunge. So first I like to really extend through the spine, pressing my feet into the earth. Crown of the head reaches long, and you can already start to feel this opening up through the right hip flexor, even before we've lifted up off the mat. And then as you're ready, sweeping the fingertips up overhead, inhaling to reach tall, and then exhaling, gently settling into the hips. Finding a slight lift here through the hips so that you've got the space to draw the tailbone down towards the mat. And as opposed to just collapsing in the lower back, really finding that integrity, balance between flexibility and strength. And our exhale is going to sweep the hands back down to frame the front foot as we continue to draw the hands back, extending our left knee, taking a hold of those blocks if you use them on the other side. Left toes draw back towards the face, and there's a bit of activation through the left leg to protect the hamstrings. Inhaling, long spine, lifting the chest, broadening the collarbones, and then exhaling, maybe finding a little bit more space to fold forward. One more breath, just like that. Inhaling, lifting, and then exhaling, settling. Inhale, presses the left sole of the foot back down to the earth. Left knee is bent. The right hand is going to come down to the mat as we peel the left hand up towards the ceiling. Stacking the shoulders. Coming into a twist. Nice big breath here. In through the nose. And breath back out through the nose. Inhaling, reaching a little bit higher with the left fingertips. And exhaling, left hand comes back to the mat. Let's bring the left hand just inside the left knee. Heel toeing the foot out towards the left hand side, and then the right hand moves just forward slightly to support the shoulder, and the left hand comes to the left knee. Activating through the left foot, peeling the chest open, twisting from the navel, finding a beautiful stretch through the hips. And if it felt good on the other side, lifting the left hand up overhead, right knee bends, taking a hold of the right foot. Extending through the spine, crown of the head reaches long towards the front of the room. And then exhaling, settling in, finding that bit of space. Maybe the gaze looks over the left shoulder. Slowly lowering the right foot down as we circle the left hand back up. pressing both hands into the mat and putting the left knee back to meet the right. These blocks. We'll take a little bit of movement through our tabletop position, maybe finding a few more cat-cows. Noticing how the hips are feeling after stretching them in those different directions, finding a bit more space. Hands are going to come forward one hand length. We're going to tuck the toes and lift the hips back to our downward facing dog. Reconnecting with the breath here. Maybe even shutting down the eyes and just connecting with how the posture feels. You might like to bend through opposite knees, or opening up through the back body. And then eventually we'll draw both heels down towards the mat, pressing through the hands, drawing our sit bones up towards the ceiling. And we'll find stillness here for one round of breath. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Nice and steady breath. Our next inhale, we're going to rise the right leg up overhead, coming into a three-legged dog. Bend the right knee and open the right hip out towards the right hand side. So we're peeling the hips open here. Starting to circulate through the right knee. Massaging in through the hip joint. I always think of this like you're stirring a big pot of cookie dough or something. Taking it around both directions. And then eventually we'll square the hips back, extend through the right knee once more, and then come all the way up over the hands, bending the right knee in towards the chest, and place the right knee behind the right wrist, settling down, preparing to come into our pigeon pose. So the right foot can be as close to the left hip as you require, but depending on the space. Settling both hips down, activating through the right foot to protect the knee. First, we're going to bring the hands back beside the hips and just open the chest up, drawing the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Inhaling here, feeling really tall. And then exhaling, starting to walk the hands out in front and just coming down really slowly. So as slowly as you need to gently take the body into our pigeon shape. You might stay resting on the forearms, or eventually lowering the forehead all the way down. Remembering to stay active through the right foot, drawing the left hip down and the right hip slightly up, coming to our breath. We'll take 3 rounds of breath here. Inhaling. And then exhaling, feeling the body relax into the mat. Noticing if there's any tension through the shoulders, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. Really allowing the body to just settle over the bent leg. We'll take the hands just below the shoulders, assisting to press the body back up to seated, tucking through the left toes, and then slowly moving back to our downward facing dog, taking as much time as you need to get there. Now I invite you to take this downward facing dog in stillness and just observe the difference between the two sides of the body. Noticing that little bit more space that we've created through the right outer hip. And perhaps even a bit of space across the front of the left hip. Let's bring the weight into the right foot. Next inhale is going to lift the left foot up overhead. Peeling the left hip open, bending through the knee. And we'll take those nice juicy circles again on the left-hand side. Trying to keep the weight even through the hands here so that the movement really is just coming from the leg, just like we did in our tabletop position earlier. And then if you haven't swapped directions, taking it through the other side. We'll come back to squaring the hips, extending the right toes up towards the ceiling. And then bend through the left knee. Lowering the left knee down behind the left wrist. Left foot can come as far forward as back, or back as you like. Forward is going to be a more intense stretch, and back will be a little bit more spacious for you. Checking in with the back leg, I didn't say last time, but the tendency is for the leg to stick out towards the outside. So just making sure that the leg's actually tracking straight out of the hip joint out the back. Hands come beside the hips. We'll inhale, extending the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then exhale as we start to fold from the hips, lowering the chest down towards the mat. Maybe pausing at the forearms for a breath. Really feeling the spine extending. And then eventually, if it feels nice, lowering the head all the way down. Drawing the right hip towards the earth. Staying active through the left foot. And take 3 rounds of breath here. Closing down the eyes. And then as we finish our last slow, intentional exhalation, hands are going to come below the shoulders. We'll press the body back up to seated, tucking the right toes, pressing through the hands and lifting the hips to our downward facing dog. One big breath in here. And exhaling it out. We're going to bend through the knees. Gaze looks up at the hands. We're going to step our right foot to the outside of the right hand and the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Lowering the hips down into our Malasana Squat. You might find that the heels can't make it to the mat, so you could bring blocks below the heels, just like so, or even rolling up the yoga mat, just something to get a little bit closer with the heels. Settling back with the hips, staying here for a couple of breaths. Arms are inside the knees, and gently applying a little bit of pressure to the insides of the knees, helping open up through the hips. And then really visualize the tailbone drawing down towards the earth while the crown of the head reaches up towards the sky. Maybe shutting down the eyes here. We'll settle the hips down. You might bring your hands behind you just to help lower down with control. And we'll come all the way back to the middle of the mat, taking the hands just behind the thighs and lowering all the way down so that we're laying on the mat. Drawing the knees into the chest now, feeling the back body pressing all the way down into the earth, shoulders and the hips and the tailbone, back of the head cradled by the earth. You might like to rock a little bit from side to side here, massaging through the kidneys and the lower back, feeling really grounded. And I encourage you to maybe shut down the eyes here, starting to settle into this calming place, resting on your back. We're going to lower the feet down towards the earth, but bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees opening out wide, coming into our Supta Baddha Konasana. Feet can be as close or as far away from the pelvis. You're going to find it's a little bit easier with the feet further away, and then closer up is going to feel a little bit more of a challenge. And then hands can just come to the belly, maybe one hand on the heart. Observing the breath as the belly lifts with an inhale and lowers with an exhale. We're going to bring the right knee across to meet the left, taking a really easy twist here so that the right hand can extend out from the shoulder. Just feeling that nice space created across the right side body, through the back and the outer right hip. One breath in through the nose and back out through the nose. And then both knees can come over through center, lowering down to the right hand side. Taking this reclined twist back towards the right. One nice breath here. Exhaling completely. We'll use our inhale breath to draw both knees back up to center. We'll lift the knees. We're going to come into a happy baby. So you can take a hold of the back of the thighs, back of the calves, or draw the elbows inside the knees, taking a hold of the outside edges of the feet. Soles of the feet are pressing up towards the sky, and the knees are coming back down towards the armpits. Tailbone searches for the mat. And the back of the neck's really long here. You might find a little bit of rocking from side to side feels good. I invite you to close down the eyes here. And just take any last movements that the body needs before we settle into our final resting pose. Nothing too abrupt, just settling everything down. And then as you're ready, extending both legs out, allowing the feet to fall out to the edges of the mat. Arms rest on the earth, palms facing up. And settling down into our Savasana. We'll let go of any breathing techniques here, just allowing the body to breathe naturally. Bringing our focus to the space between the eyebrows. And just relaxing through the face, through the forehead. Noticing if there's any places in the body where you're holding a little bit of tension still. And allowing the breath to let everything go.